Why should they pay or $10 for a license? When you're driving a car, you have to pay much more. And if you're using the roads in the city and these special lanes are being built for you, I think you should be helping to support the cost and paying for it.
How about giving these bikers $50 or $100 license every year like we pay on cars? They're using the car, they should pay for the bloody road too.
Nobody has mentioned the effect of the cyclist on the ordinary pedestrian.
Yeah, that call from a woman who got hit by one and spent 3 months in a coma.
Yeah, we kicked the show off today by asking for your reaction to this announcement that came down yesterday from the city of Montreal. They want to add another 200 kilometers of bike lanes over the next 5 years at a cost of $150 million. Your response, as you just heard, and that's just a small sampling of it, it was far from positive. Even the avid cyclists questioned this decision. Sophie Mauzerolle is a Montreal City Councilor for Saint-Marie. She is an executive committee member and also the Transport and Mobility Minister, and she joins us now. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
So in the announcement yesterday, you said in the last year, the number of bike trips increased by 20% in Montreal, and you said last year alone that amounts to 12 million bike trips. But as a texter pointed out, we've been in a pandemic and people were working from home. Shouldn't that number actually be quite a bit higher if we were seeing a really large increase in people cycling?
Oh, no, I think those numbers are really interesting, and we're really optimistic toward the choice that more and more Montrealers are doing to take their bicycle. And the reason why they're doing so is that we can offer secure infrastructures for them to move around town. So I think that by giving more options to Montrealers, and we've seen it in the last past days, when we give more options, whether it's public transit or active transit, we see a change in mobility choices. So this is a good news for mobility at large in Montreal.
The other thing that came up a lot was the idea of allocating funds, and is this the best way to spend this money when we have a housing issue, when we know that people are hungry right now? There's a lot of issues, obviously. So why is this such a priority for Montreal? Is this the best use of our money?
Well, actually, biking infrastructures are really cheap compared to road infrastructures, and we know that the road deteriorates at a less faster rate when it's bike than whether it's trucks or vehicles. So
sure.
for the amount of money we're putting in it, we have a great return on investment because public and active infrastructures are actually quite cheap. And as we were saying, we really need to offer options to citizens to go around. And it's also, and I have to emphasize on that, it's a matter of security. We have to remember that between 2014 and 2020, on Saint-Denis alone, there has been 350 collisions with implicating bikes and pedestrians. So putting infrastructures in place is really a way to secure, of course, the cyclist, but also the pedestrian, which has more spaces on the road. And it's also easier for people to drive around because they know that they're not going to get in conflict with other users of the road. So it's really a matter of security for us to put those infrastructure in place. We've seen a lot of collision with seniors that are overrepresented in the collision statistics, and by reconfiguring our streets, we're really offering a safer environment for everybody.
So you heard some of the calls off the top, and I'll be very honest with you. Most of the calls, virtually all of them, were not pro this idea. Some people pointing out that $150 million you're estimating now for 5 years will obviously balloon like every other project that the city typically gets involved in. But I want to ask a question because my concern, and I think other listeners share it, is when you have this plan to expand the network and to put bicycle paths in areas where they haven't been, do you factor in, and I know the city is, not pro-car, do you factor in the fact that not everybody has a driveway or a garage to park their cars in? How will they be accommodated once you put these bike lanes in?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say we're not against cars, but we've seen the number of cars on our road is increasing faster than the population, and our roads are at a level of saturation. So really need to work on alternatives, and we're putting effort in public transit as we're putting in other type of mobility. But we're able to do projects with secure places for everyone. We've seen it on the REV. There's still parking places. There's still places for drivers to go around. And we've seen also the effect on the businesses street is good. It's also good for businesses because we're creating an environment that is interesting for everyone. So really, I think we are able to we have to work on sharing the streets with all the users, but we're doing it in a way that there's a place for everyone.
Yeah, I'm not sure I heard you answer the question, though. With respect to accommodating people who have cars, who need to park, what happens to them?
Well, it's going to depend. What we announced yesterday was really a vision, and we've been learning a lot since the last mandate, and we now work really closely with community, with partners when we're putting a REV in place. We did it on the REV Saint-Antoine-Vigée this summer, where we met with hotels, where we met with institutions, and we are able to accommodate the special needs of those hotels when they need parking. So it's going to be the same for people in their car. Of course, there's going to be change. There has change that has to be made, but it's going to depend on each configuration. And as of now, I'm not able to tell you exactly how many parking spaces is going to be moved, because what we wanted to do also with this announcement is offer predictability to the population and to the partners, and we're going to be able to adapt the configuration of those new bike paths and adapt with the other construction sites that we have, so that we take into consideration those preoccupations. But as I was saying, our roads are already at a level of capacity, so we really need to work toward offering options. And also, as I was saying, and I'm saying it again, it's a matter of security. When we came out yesterday, there was a lot of public groups. Piéton Québec was there. They were happy with the announcement because they said when we put infrastructures in place that are cyclist infrastructures, we are also helping the people that are walking. And we are all, even though we have cars, we are all walking at a certain time. So really, it's a matter of security for us. Better connect outlying neighborhoods who also needs to have secure infrastructures. So there's a question of territorial equity also in this announcement.
Do we know, Madame Mauzerolle, how many cyclists use those paths on a daily basis in Montreal, at least on a basis when the weather is nice? Because obviously there's going to be a lot of time they can't be used when it's snowy.
Yeah, we do. We have counting. I don't have all the numbers in place, but we have countings on a number of cyclists. Yeah, and it's really interesting. There's a lot of radio stations that are giving the countings daily, and it's really impressive, the number of Montrealers, the number of people.
But you don't know the number, though?
Well, it depends on the bike path. It depends on the time of the day. I can give you the numbers back if you want to. I don't have them.
Yeah, I'd just love to have I'd love to have a general idea of how many cyclists in Montreal use that as a mode of transit every day. Is there going to be public consultation?
Yeah, so I was saying the objective of the announcement yesterday was also to offer predictability. We've been improving the way we're working with the population and adapting the work we're doing when we put infrastructure in place. So, of course, there's going to be discussions with the partners, with the population, every time we're going to put a project in place.
Okay. Want to thank you for the time, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this again long before this project is done. Remember, it's a 5-year project. Thanks again. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
That's Sophie Mauzerolle, Montreal City Councilor for Saint Marie. I guess she is Transport and Mobility Minister for Montreal. Yeah,
I will point out someone just sent in a text saying she should play for the Habs because, man, can she skate. Thank you, whoever sent that.
20% more is interesting. Do you know what I mean? Okay, 20% more people cycling. Sure, that's a big hike in a year. But like I said, I feel like the texter pointed out we have been in a pandemic. But if it's 20% and there were only 50,000 people doing it, using those bike paths on a daily basis as a mode of transit, then that's an awful lot of money to spend on a small proportion
Yeah, but
of the
if she said too,
population.
yes, I always say that the city's against
sure.
it, and she's talking about pedestrians. She talked about the fact that our roads can only accommodate so many more vehicles, and we keep adding cars. There are more and more cars every year. I get it. You can't just expand roads that were only so wide to begin with. You're not taking down housing to put up roads necessarily.
No, I get that.
But I just think that, at the end of the day here, and maybe I should be encouraged by it, she seemed to imply that they're going to look at all various, potentials here for cars, for pedestrians, and for bikes as well. Let's hope that's what comes of this, and not just let's throw down a bike path and hope for the best.
It's a wonderful idea. I like the idea of this as a vision for Montreal. I just don't know how realistic it is, given the realities of where we live.
We're a long way away from it happening. Let's see how it goes.